جب سینے اندر سانس کے دریا ڈولتے ہیں، دکھ بولتے ہیں، جب موسم سرد ہوا میں چپ سی کھولتے ہیں، جب آنسو پلکیں رولتے ہیں، جب سب آوازیں اپنے اپنے بستر پر سو جاتی ہیں، تب آہستہ آہستہ آنکھیں کھولتے ہیں، دکھ بولتے ہیں۔ شام بخیر اور آپ سب کو دا بلیک ہول کے نائل آڈیٹوریم میں خوش آمدید۔ انسان کیا شے ہے جہاں وہ اپنی خوشی کو نغمہ بناتا ہے تو وہیں دکھوں کو بھی لفظوں میں ڈھالنے کا ہنر جانتا ہے۔ جب دل پر بوجھ ہو، جب زندگی کے سوالوں کے جواب نہ مل رہے ہوں، جب دعائیں خالی لوٹ آتی ہوں، جب یادیں، خواہشیں، محرومیاں، امیدیں ایک ساتھ ہی دل ناتواں میں جا گزی ہوں، تو پھر جیتے رہنے کے لیے انسان شاعری اور موسیقی میں پناہ ڈھونڈتا ہے، اور یہی شاعری، یہی موسیقی، یہی سٹوری ٹیلنگ ہمارے خوف، محبت، تنہائی، امید، شکست اور خوابوں کو آواز دیتے ہیں اور ہمارے اندر کے ان گوشوں تک پہنچ جاتی ہیں جہاں ویسے ہم کسی کو رسائی دینے کے خواہش مند نہیں ہوتے۔ آج ہماری گفتگو کا موضوع ہے راگاز آف سول، پوئٹری، سولس اینڈ دا میوزک ود ان، جو آپ پیچھے بورڈ پہ اتنی خوبصورتی سے عالم کی ہاتھوں بنا ہوا دیکھ سکتے ہیں۔ اس موضوع پر گفتگو کے لیے وی ہیو ٹو ونڈرفل اسپیکرز ود اس۔ میرے دائیں جانب تشریف فرما ہے مدیحہ ارسلان حنیف صاحبہ۔ آپ پروفیسر ہیں آف لٹریچر، شاعرہ ہیں، ایوڈ ٹریولر اینڈ کریٹو کنسلٹنٹ with more than 20 years of experience in shaping education and cultural strategy۔ آپ کی انگریزی نظموں کا ایک مجموعہ جو میرے بائیں جانب آپ کو یہ میز پہ دکھائی دے گا، بعنوان بھادو، پچھلے برس شائع ہوا ہے، اینڈ شی جسٹ ٹولڈ می کہ کچھ ہی مہینوں میں یا آنے والے ہفتوں میں، کچھ مہینوں میں، اسی مہینے، کنگریچولیشن، اسی مہینے ان کی سیکنڈ اینتھولوجی بھی شائع ہونے والی ہے، سو کنگریچولیشن اینڈ آل دا بیسٹ۔ آپ کا کام ہے ایٹ دی انٹرسیکشن آف لینگویج، میموری اینڈ انسٹیٹیوشنل ریفارم۔ آپ باقاعدگی سے کئی معتبر جرائد جیسا کہ دا نیوز اینڈ دا فرائیڈے ٹائمز کے لیے کالمز وغیرہ لکھتی ہیں۔ میرے بائیں جانب تشریف فرمائے صدف رضا صاحبہ۔ آپ ریسرچر ہیں، رائٹر ہیں، ٹرینر ہیں، ویمنز رائٹس اینڈ انوائرمنٹل رائٹس ایکٹیوسٹ ہیں۔ آپ کی دلچسپی کے موضوعات ہیں جینڈر، ایجوکیشن اینڈ چلڈرن پروٹیکشن، اور قومی سطح پر اور اس کے علاوہ بین الاقوامی سطح پر آپ کئی پروجیکٹس ریگارڈنگ جینڈر بیسڈ وائلنس کے اوپر کام کر چکی ہیں۔ مور اوور آپ نے پاکستان میں جینڈر بیسڈ وائلنس ریسورسز کو ڈیولپ کیا ہے فار چلڈرن اینڈ ٹیچرس اینڈ پشڈ فار پالیسی چینج اسپیشلی اراؤنڈ سو کالڈ آنر کلنگ لاز، اینڈ آف کورس دیر از نو آنر ان وائلنس، ٹارچر اینڈ کلنگ۔ صدف از آلسو پبلشڈ پوئٹ۔ آپ کے تین شعری مجموعے شائع ہو چکے ہیں بعنوان لائک اے سلیپ واکر، رائٹ می ان ریڈ، اور جو تازہ ترین مجموعہ ہے اس کا نام ہے ان دا اسپیس آف اے ڈریم۔ آپ سب لوگوں کی آمد کا شکریہ۔ تھوڑی سی زحمت کر کے اپنے سیل فون سوئچ کر لیں ٹو سائلنٹ موڈ سو دیٹ دیر از نو ڈسٹریکشن۔ باہمی گفتگو کے بعد جیسا کہ یہاں کی روایت ہے فلور اوپن ہوتا ہے فار کیو اینڈ اے۔ جب وہ مرلہ ہے تو بس آپ نے اپنا ہاتھ بلند کرنا ہوتا ہے، تھوڑا سا رکنا ہوتا ہے کہ یہ مائکروفون آپ کے حوالے ہو جائے۔ اس کے لیے وی آر تھینکفل ٹو آمنہ جو ہماری مدد کرتی ہیں۔ مائکروفون کے بغیر آپ کی آواز ہمیں تو ضرور سنائی دے گی لیکن آن لائن آڈینس پھر محروم رہ جائیں گے، بس اس کا خیال رکھیے گا۔ وہاں رنگ ہاں با پردہ تدبیر ہیں ہنوز، یا شعلہ چراغ ہے برگے ہنا مجھے، اور کھلتا کسی پہ کیوں میرے دل کا معاملہ، شعروں کے انتخاب نے رسوا کیا مجھے۔ پلیز ویلکم صدف رضا اینڈ مدیحہ ارسلان حنیف۔ تھینک یو۔
لیکن نے بہت اچھا ایک تعارف جو کرایا ہے، اس میں ایک چیز جو مسنگ ہے، اینڈ آئی ووڈ لائک ٹو ٹاک اباؤٹ دیٹ۔ آئی ایم اے ہیلر اینڈ دیٹ از دی اونلی آئیڈینٹی I carry now. So, we can be anything in life. We become doctors, engineers, researchers, we do PhD, we become CEO of companies, and we become so many things. For me, becoming a healer is my unbecoming, and I'm very proud of it. It is what my journey is all about. And the words and the books and what I have done supported me. As I sit here at this age and juncture of life, and I hold my 3 books in my hands and I call them my children. I have 2 beautiful children, mashallah, son and a daughter. Grown up, mashallah, mashallah. My bahu, mashallah, a new addition in my family, mashallah. And these are the books that I call them my children as well. So as I sit here, I think of a girl, 26-year-old, who was not even destined to live, to make it to the age I am. There was so much pain, there was so much suffering, and there were so many black and dark moments in her life. She passed through so many things, and the only thing probably that helped her were the words, and they came naturally to her, which is a blessing. To be able to write and to express yourself, to put all that you are in your words is a blessing. So I'm going to start from my first book, and I'm going to refer to that girl because she's not there anymore. And as I was going through my first collection, which was compiled when I was in my 20s and published in 2003, when I was in my 30s, early 30s, the words, they sounded so alien. The only reminder was I was not even supposed to live so long. And I made it to this. And during that process of coming to terms with who I am, somewhere I became a healer. And that is what I carry till eternity. So I'm going to start with one poem and then we are going to go to you, Madiha. The first book is Like a Sleepwalker. In this book, I never had the courage to say I, me. It was always she, her. I was too shy, too afraid to even own my own pain. It was not my pain, it was her pain. So the way I write in this book is like that. Like a Sleepwalker. Can we have music with the reading? Naya, can we have music? Please. Like a sleepwalker in the night, her tumultuous life. Gliding through her vision of reality, she tested the threshold of her sanity. Her fingers, which have been weaving dreams out of thin air, taught her feet to skip and dance on bare earth, touching and invoking deep longing. The girl was 27. She feels the air with her searching hands and breathed tomorrows with her yesterdays. Her yearnings, like those of a child, are for the moon and the sun.
I'm writing an essay on cats.
We can have any. And her love always walks with one glass slipper. Her love always walks with one glass slipper, and that was probably the biggest anguish. Or, caught in a body too old, she is condemned to appreciate its needs. Her eyes, wandering, will leave the truth and strip the fantasy, the element of surprise. So as the story goes, she glides through her life like a sleepwalker in the night. The first book, as I said, it was all about coming to terms with the pain. And now over to you, Madhya.
Madiha Arsalan. Life is not easy for anyone. And when you are with your parents, you are always told that you are the best in every sense of the word. You speak well, you carry yourself well, you are always loving and cherishing and doing everything right, and then you grow up. And then when you step into the practical world, you get to know, well, whatever your parents told you was not true, because you're always short of something. Maybe you are not that attractive. Maybe you are not that wanted. Maybe the politeness that you carried throughout those years when you were growing with your parents, pampered, was not politeness for other people around you. And then biology happens, and you are not fertile, perhaps. And people around you tell you that you are not enough. And in that being not enough, I tried to find myself where for myself, I was good enough. And in this process, I started writing. It was never a catharsis for me. It was just sharing my thoughts. Perhaps some other person is going through the same and feeling the same and do not have the courage to put the thoughts that I have in writing. And today I'm going to talk about love, mohabbat, ishq. Love, I think right now is the right time to talk about love when the whole world is burning. Ukraine on one side, Palestine on the other side, Iran recently, what we've gone through. So what we lack in our life is love. Last time when I was here, there was this person, he asked me, उर्दू शायरी तो सिर्फ मोहब्बत की ही है, उर्दू शायरी में तो मोहब्बत के अलावा किसी बारे में बात ही नहीं की गई. And I just, looked at him and I said, चलें हम इस बारे में भी बात करेंगे. उर्दू शायरी बहुत वसी है और इसमें हर मौजू पे बात हुई है और मोहब्बत सबसे बड़ा मौजू है. जब हम कहते हैं अल्लाह है बस प्यार ही प्यार, जिसने ज़मीन पे प्यार उतारा वो खुद होगा कितना प्यारा. मोहब्बत के बगैर तो आप कुछ भी नहीं करते. मोहब्बत ही है जो आपको ड्राइव करती है फ्रॉम डे टू डे. बच्चों के लिए उठना, माँ मर रही हो, अपनी बुखार में तप रही हो, बट शी विल केयर अप फॉर हर चिल्ड्रन. व्हाट इज़ दैट? That's love calling for duty. Then फैज़ साहब फरमाते हैं, अभी हम जिक्र कर रहे थे, याद दिलाइएगा सदफ, और भी दुख हैं ज़माने में मोहब्बत के सिवा, और भी राहतें हैं वसल की राहत के सिवा. मुझे तो लगता है कि मोहब्बत की दुख और मोहब्बत की वसल के अलावा और दुनिया में कुछ है ही नहीं, क्योंकि जो कुछ हम करते हैं दैट इज़ ड्रिवन by this very feeling of love. हम या तो मोहब्बत करते हैं या हम बहुत क्रूअल जब हो जाते हैं तो हम नफ़रत करते हैं, और हम उससे भी ज़्यादा क्रूअल हो जाते हैं अपने साथ तो हम डिटैच हो जाते हैं. सो मुझे लगता है कि मोहब्बत का सफ़र हर दफ़ा हर वक्त जारी रहना चाहिए. What I do is I grow plants. I grow plants, I hug plants. Nature gives me the first sentence, the first line for my verses, and I write about that. गालिब ने कहा था, मोहब्बत मुझको ना सही, शोहरत ही सही. इश्क मुझको नहीं, वहशत ही सही. मेरी वहशत तेरी शोहरत ही सही. यार से छेड़ चली जाए है असद, यार से छेड़ चली जाए है असद, गर नहीं वसल तो हसरत ही सही. जहाँ हमने हीलिंग की बात की सदफ से, तो मुझे लगता है वी आरसेल्व्स आर द एंटीडोट. सदफ के लिए ये डेडिकेशन है मेरी. द लॉन्गिंग could be held and seen. The longing, हाइको है, मेरी आने वाली किताब में है. The longing could be held and seen, heart freezing to death. The longing could be held and seen, heart freezing to death, and I, the antidote. And I, the antidote. So, ये मेरी आने वाली किताब में से है. मेरी पहली किताब भादों, आप सबके लिए यहाँ मौजूद भी है, अगर कोई चाहे तो आई कैन साइन इट फॉर यू. उसकी पहली नज़म है कमली. Pick up my feet, place them on your chest. Pick up my feet, place them on your chest. Move my constitution. Don't let love go to waste. Trembling, quivering quakes, from side to side waves. Butterfly brutally fluttering in my breast. Butterfly brutally fluttering in my breast, your lips on mine haste. I am buzzing in the woods, croaking in the moors. I'm buzzing in the woods, croaking in the moors, forgotten who I am. Forgotten who I am, comely at your door. Comely at your door. Thank you. For me, love is a celebration. Even in the depths of the sorrows and even at the peaks of joys. Over to you, Sadaf.
Thank you, Madhya. You started something very beautiful. You started talking about love. For me, I have experienced love at different stages. And the only love that was missing in my life was my love for myself. You know, we are taught to love everything and everyone. We are never ever taught to love ourselves. That love was the most difficult one. Coming to terms with who you are, accepting and loving yourself, and then knowing that with that vibration, when you love yourself, the universe loves you. So that was probably the transformation I had. And that is what made me live and go on. So I'm going to remember the last one, the like a sleepwalker, and there was my love walks with one glass slipper. So from the same collection, this is my lost glass slipper. Spellbound I watched with narcissistic wonder, myself transformed, changing shape. I tried to flinch and turn my gaze, transfixed, there I stayed. Countless times I saw death charade, with a knife, some pills, and a razor blade. Yes, that is the pain of going through life sometimes. Who would understand the cynicism of a pierced heart turned to stone? Remember the story of the nightingale? She sang, and there was a thorn in her heart, and she was turning to stone. Who would understand the cynicism of a pierced heart turned to stone? With a thorn I sang and bled. The leaves turned blue, the petals grey. He scoffed at my body, never could do anything right. And he declared, to let you live was an exercise in vain. To let you live was an exercise in vain. And then one day, defeated and dejected, I turned out my pockets. Out came my love with my lost glass slipper. Yes. So when you least expect, divine intervention is like that. You never know. You may be at the most darkest of the places in your life, and you turn a corner, and there before you is universe waiting with open arms. That I experienced and passed through. Over to you, Madhya.
Oh, what a beautiful rendition of such a beautiful emotion. I think each one of us, one way or the other, somewhere in our life, we do go through those desperate times and those anxious times where we feel that this would be the end of us. We will break, we will die. And somehow nature has, or the universe, or Allah has other plans for us. And we pick up our pieces and start walking all over again. And I mentioned in the advertisement for this program that I'm going to talk about Shah Abdul Latif Bhatai's Surs, and I'm going to talk about Mastavakkali. Mastavakkali, if anyone can relate to, is a love lore, a love story from Balochistan. And then, it's not just one kind of love. Love manifests itself in so many different shades and so many different ways. For example, in Shahjo Risalo, we read of Marvi, and she's not in love with any person, but she is deeply, deeply patriotic. She cannot forget her homeland. She cannot become a queen. She loves her land so much that till end she defies every advance that Omar makes. Right? So when people say, oh, Shairi is just love, I don't know. It's what you try to find in poetry. That is for you. We just write. We are just writers. We just give you insinuations. We try to initiate something which perhaps you have not read before or do not you are not interested in. So we give you a line, we give you a phrase, we give you verses to explore yourself. And this is what we are going to do today. In my upcoming book, there's this poem called Hanami. Hanami is a Japanese tradition of watching the cherry blossoms bloom. And Japanese literally sit down, look at the cherry blossoms, and spend their day watching the blooms. So this is the first poem in my upcoming book. And it says, into the clouds, eyes closed, I pursue the tradition of Hanami. I pursue the tradition of Hanami. Blossoms bloom in my imagination. Blossoms bloom in my imagination. So what I believe is how you create something beautiful from the broken pieces of yourself, like kintsugi. Do you know the tradition of kintsugi? You must be. It's the Japanese art of repairing the crockery with gold or silver, right? So the crack is beautiful, and you beautify it furthermore. So that has always been the philosophy. And now another poem from my book, Bhadum. I have lost the battle with myself. I have lost the battle with myself. I float in oblivion. I float in oblivion. Love is condescending, and I submit to its will. I love more. I love more the people and my surroundings. That's the only way I could redeem for the loss, which now seems a gain. It has opened up chinks in the abyss of my thoughts. These elements were niched within the shadowy reaches and I felt lost. Love was already there. I didn't recognize, I didn't explore myself, and I felt lost. Thank you.
I'm just going to change the tone of the poems and the topic that we are exploring now. I have always been an activist, knowing my own pain and then looking at the society and realizing that the pain is very much there. So even now my practice as a healer is for women. My poems are for women. My work is for women. All that I have done, 90 to 99% of it is for women. And the first book was, if it was self-discovery or coming to terms with my own pain and then going on and having the courage to live and finding the person with the lost glass slipper. The second poem, the second book is all about me raging. So I was raging in Write Me in Red. And the words are very harsh. Here I am, and here I am accusing the whole universe and the world for what all kinds of injustices. Working on issues, writing about the cases, working with the different organizations at different levels. It was not clinical, it was not just research, it was very heartfelt. So this one is about, this is called Smithereens. After they raped my daughters, I lined the road leading to my door with smithereens. A litany of my once red and green bangles. They came in hordes to break my bangles when my husband died. I stopped them. They gossiped. But who cared? My honor was intact then. My daughters are virgins no more. I washed their inside with my bare hands, and when they yelled, I said no enemy seed would sprout in my womb. My tears are gone. When my husband died, a flood came out of my eyes. Now nothing comes out but dry sobs. I thought of killing my daughters. I said Bashira, Sharifa, Nazira te Fatima. Zehar pee le, kaanch phank le. I pounded my bangles and made a powder. Take a spoonful full each and end the misery of the remaining lifetime. They shook with fear. Pathetic girls. I'm sure they must have opened up their legs far and wide. Phantom women. My feeble bones cannot force my will on their bodies. So I said, what now? And they bowed their heads. In my dreams, I have seen them wearing red bridal dresses with bowed heads, not with shame, but from shyness. Ha ha, a mockery of all my dreams. What now? Who will accept you all? Where we will go to die? Who will give me kafan? For our village folk, your aunts, would not let us live or even die in peace. What now? The walls were silent, so were my girls. With nothing to do, I lined the road leading to my door with my broken bangles. The babycy of a woman, and this is true. When we can't do anything, we just break our own bangles. When we can't harm anyone, we just put smithereens on their way. At least that would stop them from reaching our door. So this was my activism. This is my activism. This is not based on fiction. This is a real story. And my poetry in this book, Write Me in Red, is all about domestic violence, honor killing, injustices which we see each and every day. So I was not only writing, doing research or campaigns through my poems, I was addressing, and I still am sometimes addressing all this.
Beautiful. In the same tone, I'm going to recite my poem Sammu. It's a recent event. I'm sure each one of you are aware of Sammu and her husband who were killed in Balochistan. All right. So I'm going to. It's going to appear in my upcoming book. I'm going to recite that for you. But you know, I always look at the disappointments and the destructions as the new beginnings. I feel that when something collapses, it collapses for good, and you can build something new and perhaps more beautiful from it. And perhaps that's the only antidote that we humans have, because if we do not do that, then we are going to finish our race. If you lose hope, you lose everything. So here it goes. Sammu. She shouts from the mountain tops, those mineral rich peaks. Shaking the bones of justice, she kicks them off their hinges. Her message loud and clear. She doesn't bite her tongue. She wasn't the one who colored inside the lines, in the sketches someone else has drawn for her. With fire in her palm, set Dagari ablaze. With conviction, Sammu wrote her own commandments, demanding her birthright, ripping the leash from her neck, reminding the world her wildness is holy, her rebellion is far divine. Sammu spitted on the fragile egos. Sammu spitted on the fragile egos. The truth refused to stay caged. It hurried. When no jury granted her to own her life, snatching it from the jaws of the world that tried to convince her. Her very existence was a sin, unbridled hunger, curtailed for centuries. A woman in love is unstoppable. A woman in love is unstoppable. The sun in the heat of Dasht couldn't be snuffed out. It shone bright, blinding the lies. Not waiting for the patriarchs to tell her, you are allowed to burn, but only with our permission. Ehsan, a true Baloch, stood up before the test of time. 18 bullets he took before Sammu, illuminating her way back home to the hearth that kept her warm. Bullets are permitted, but nothing else. Bullets are permitted, but nothing else. Maintaining her grace, Sammu danced away. Maintaining her grace, Sammu danced away with a monster under her bed. 9 shots in her chest. With the monster under her bed. 9 shots in her chest. That's the situation of love. And as I was talking about how love transcends into beautifying the world, we see people like Abdul Sadar Eidi, who have transformed their love into a resting place for the ones who need. Then we see Adib Rizvi, Dr. Adib Rizvi, if you have heard of him, a urologist. He started very small. आप साथ बैठे होंगे, you can't even recognize he's even a doctor, you know? A crinkled shirt, an old pant, loafers, and perhaps a kolhapuri. And what he has done a huge, huge favor for the humanity. And he has built this huge hospice for the kidney patients. And then we look into the very recent transformation of Zeba Hussain, who has started the Mashal schools. And I know her story, perhaps you know it too, or perhaps we will write it someday. So she was also betrayed, but she did not become a devil, she did not become evil, she did not transform her betrayal into hatred. She transformed it for the good of humanity, for a greater public good. So that's what love is all about. Another poem for you. Chakor. Chakor, caged in ribs, as moon appears, the gaze is such. Chakor, caged in ribs, as the moon appears, the gaze is such. It dances, rhythm picks up. It dances, rhythm picks up. Explode if it must. Still, settled dust. In the heart of hearts. In the heart of hearts, it could not break free. It could not break free. Thank you. And then I have this beautiful poem. I was inspired. I was inspired from very recent history. Let me recite the poem, and then I'll ask you to guess in whose reply I have written this poem. And think of recent history. Okay? Here it goes. The flip side of the story. The flip side of the story. I don't think I will ever meet you. I don't think I will ever meet you. Ever in any lifetime. No, it won't happen. Neither in your dreams, nor as a figment of imagination. You won't see me. You won't feel me. Nor in the portraits you softly paint in silk. Neither the ones you vigorously paint in pain. My silence won't wake up. Love that you have rested in grave. The warmth you denied when this body was alive. The warmth you denied when the body was alive. How can it not provide what your soul needs to survive? I don't think you would ever, ever feel my breath on your chest, neck, where earlobes end. On your chest, neck, where the earlobes end. Tense, intense, against. Fire which remained, passion I endured, never was consumed. How can it soothe you now, when I am no more around? How I longed your embrace, those arms wrapped around my waist. Heat my lips emitted, craving your caress aflamed. Burning obsession, fondle in desire. I know no more, was it the leap of luck, or just another Freudian slip by gods? Sweetheart, sweet love, reason of my being. Ichor running in my streams. Ichor running in my streams, showing boils on my skin. Pyare, my mitra, time, my body expired. The threads of eternity, the strings of affinity, scattered petals couldn't weave our love into a red wreath. I will become a star. I will become a star in a different galaxy where impuissant love, incompetent to conspire, where impuissant love, incompetent to conspire in favor of us into unison, in favor of us into unison. So can you guess which poem I'm writing this reply to? Recent love story, huge love story. Sahir Ludhianvi. Okay, now can you guess? मैं तेनू फिर मिलांगी. Now can you guess? अमृता प्रीतम की नज़म मैं तेनू फिर मिलांगी. उसके जवाब में I say, no, I will not meet you. You won't feel my breath on your neck, on your chest, and at the end of your earlobes. Thank you.
I'm going to pick up from there. You mentioned a beautiful lady, Amrita Preetham. And I don't know how many of you know of Sara Shugufta. Have you heard of Sara Shugufta? Have you heard of Sylvia Plath? So in my literary journey, Sara and Sylvia are always there with me, because the way I see the world is through their eyes. The way they felt pain, I go through the same. Sara used to write letters to Amrita Preetham, and all that we know of Sara Shagufta is through those letters which she has written to Amrita. And if you know the story of Sara, I don't know how many of you know the story of Sara. She married 4 times. It was a disappointment. There were some very serious, painful situations. In one, she was in the hospital giving birth, and there was no cloth to wrap the baby. And one day, Sara ended her life. She was splattered. She put her head on the train track. Sylvia, same. She ended her life. And in both their stories, Ted Hughes and Sara's 4 men, they played their part. So I have written a lot about Sara, and I have written a lot about Sylvia. So this is, Sara used to say in the letters she wrote to Amrita, she used to say, मैं हाथों से गिरी हुई दुआ हूँ. मैं हाथों से गिरी हुई दुआ हूँ. I'm a prayer dropped from hands. I'm a prayer dropped so many times from the hands of the pure and the pious. Her life was made miserable by her own family as well. I'm a prayer dropped so many times from the hands of the pure and the pious. They kept lulling me like rosary beads, chanting to undo the spell that is me. What was her mistake? What was she doing? She was just being herself. She was just being herself. Asman Tak Diwar, if you remember that drama written by Nurul Huda Shah, it was about Sara Shagufta. And when I was splattered in red and blue for a mile or so on the tracks, they gathered my words, my gut, my eyes in a white yamni cloth and washed my sins in Zamzam. I'm a prayer, they say, which can only be heard now. So for her, the salvation came when she died. Her words are still there, and I have heard that there is a foundation by her in Karachi. So there's a lot of Sara Shagufta and there's a lot of Sylvia in my poems. Let me also share a poem, and this is I think I would call it my dilemma. So when I started writing, I've written about, and even in the newspapers, I've written about child sexual abuse. When no one was writing and talking about it, in 90s, I was writing about it. I was doing research and I was addressing these issues. I was talking about rape, sexual harassment when there was no law and people were just taking it as a norm. So my biggest problem was always that when I was writing, everyone was interested in, taking the edge away or making them mild, acceptable to the society. So when I write, they feel the rebellion in my words, the fire in my tone, and living in the society as we are living. My loved ones, of course, they were very concerned. So this poem is about self-censorship. God should be written in small g, then it would be the God of the others. And please refrain from using M, Muslim, Mullah and Mosque. It can lead to capital M, murder, blood and gore. Who talks about it? Talk of flowering valleys of doom. Talk not of rat-infested swears or worm-ridden wounds, or of beheadings and pulverized bodies. Talk of dreams dying unnatural death. खूबसूरत कर दो ना, शायरी कर रही हो, हर चीज को खूबसूरत करो. Talk of life as a smile and death as a frown. And what of your own dirty linen? Yes, because I am in a habit of talking about my life. The experiences, the wounds, everything. And I quote here the line of Oprah, turn your wounds into wisdom. That is my story, turning my wounds into wisdom. Talk of life as a smile, of death as a frown, and what of your own dirty linen? Wash it behind closed doors, dip it in Robin Neal, and then let them see the spotless white. Remember, you are not creating life, but art. No, I can never ever create art. I can only create life and work on healing myself and help others who want to heal. So, let me also share something light with you to change the tone. So, for the longest time, when we are young, we have these stupid yearnings and all. So when I was born, I was not very happy with my brown eyes. And I said, one day I'll be green-eyed. And then science happened and the lenses came. For 17 years of my life, I used to have green eyes, used to wear green lenses. Okay, so this poem is about that. They love the green of my eyes. My eyes, they say, are stormy seas. And when they hate me, I'm told that my eyes ooze venom. Many a soul have lost their bearings when some craved them as my humble offering. What can I do except laugh when I take them off at night? So yeah, we pass through. Over to you now, my dear.
Sadaf talked about the 3 M's, the Muslim, Mullah, and Masjid, right? So Allah says, all तारीफें मेरे लिए हैं. Right? Allah says, all तारीफें मेरे लिए हैं. तुम्हारा हर काम मेरे लिए है. Right? So in that tone, I write the morning blues. Morning blues. Lying under beautiful magnolia. Lying under beautiful magnolia. Looking up at the azure sky. Looking up at the azure sky. I wonder how big is my wonderment. I wonder how big is my wonderment. How small is my being. How small is my being. Yet, you know what I want, and still wait for me to ask it all. And still wait for me to ask it all. And then in Ikhlas, Surah Ikhlas, Allah says, मैं बेनियाज़ हूँ. But yet again he says, सब तारीफ़ें मेरे लिए हैं. अच्छा, ये एक बहुत रियल सी पोएम है. खैर, मेरी पोइट्री बहुत रियल है. That's how I feel, that's how I think. But ये कुछ ज़्यादा ही रियल है. तो आप ज़रा तवज्जो दीजिएगा. Us. Years after years. Year after year. Night in, night out. Snoring in my ears. Arm around my waist, holding me tight. Your leg on my thighs. Throughout winters, every other summer night, warm breath blowing on the back of my neck in coconut oiled hair. Your chest attached to my back, fragile. Gaining strength, weaknesses shy. Away, side by side. At times, we are far, light years apart. At times, we are far, light years apart. Eyeballs moving, hidden and covered, with lids light. Breath constricted, heart beating in sighs. Breath constricted, heart beating in sighs, wanting to write odd hours in the night. Wanting to write odd hours in the night. Freely dance, fantasize. Lately, you have reconciled. Lately, you have reconciled to the madness laying on your right-hand side. To the madness laying on your right-hand side. Ambers bursting in my veins. Uncontentious, never satisfied. Your countenance placid, where calm and patience resides. Opposites, unmatched. Energy of a vagabond wandering. Stardust in galaxies. As these heavenly bodies in the orb collide. As these heavenly bodies in the orb collide. Complete, fragmented, stand alone. And as whole, our children, you and I. In the orb collide, complete, fragmented, stand alone. And as whole, our children, you and I. Thank you. अमल तास्क पर मैंने एक नज़म लिखी थी जो मुझे सदफ़ की हर बात से याद आती है. Let me look into it, and while I do, please you take over. Thank you.
Okay, so the third book. This was published in 2017. And before that, somewhere in my life, completely transformed. In the darkest of my days, I found light. When people ask me, what is spiritual awakening? And I say, it's not a bed of roses. What you pass through in your life is just to prepare you to be at that place. So when it happens, you're so lost. I picked up my books after probably a year, other more than that. Because when I look at my books and I read the words in them, I read the poems, I don't relate to a lot because I changed. It was a kind of a rebirth for me, and it happened with the spiritual awakening and the dark night of the soul, all the words probably you have heard of me. When people go through, they sit with their demons. Basically, it's, sitting with your demons, looking at the dark side of who you are. It's not only the light that you acknowledge, it's your darkness as well. And this is where your journey really starts. So it happened with me, and everything changed. I became another person, and this book, In the Space of a Dream, carries that. So I'm going to share one poem, which is the first one of it. I am to be found. This is in case you decide to look for me. I'm not to be found in the words of a poem. I who would have the ability to spill out, smudge. I who live in the echo of things not said yet. I who cannot be explained through literal and contextual meanings with no punctuation. I am a run-on sentence. You don't reason with gibberish. So, look for me in the half-broken sentences of a darwish. The words, they disappear, they elude you. You look for words, you can't talk, as if someone has put a cuffle on your throat. You only speak when you are asked to speak, and you only speak the wisdom that is given to you. You do not say a word more, a word less. Look for me in the half-broken sentence, part of a chaos so breathtakingly beautiful, beyond the grasp of a sane, reasoning mind. I would be explained in his expletives, his rantings. I would be the base of all his thirst. And the first sip of reason. Every second and moment. You think you make sense? No. Every second and moment, you're not making sense. You're losing yourself. But you're losing yourself because you are destined to find yourself somewhere. I would be in his solitude, his sudden burst of laughter. When he, the God, would play hide and seek, I would be the mirth in his laughter, the tears in abandonment. I am to be found in chains of solitude, in the reminiscent cackle of long forgotten relations. I am scanty like his measured morsels, in fear of inducing Adam's slumber, his reason of eviction. I am the Darwish eternal surrender, and also the remnant of his nafs. Surrender and nafs. What we surrender and what we can't. What is nafs? Where we end, where we start. What is ego? What is me? Do I give up me? Do I become him? What part of me carry him? And where is he? I am to be dropped intentionally, carelessly, never to be picked up again. I am to be treasured, carried through mountains and rough terrain. I am the fire he carries around. Or how would he find God? scattered around, God in every stone, written on all leaves, in the sting of a scorpion, the hiss of a snake. I am to be found in the broken amulet, the scent of his mother, rubbed by his sweat. I am not in the raised words of the amulet, but the promise she made with the universe, her soul against his guardianship. So in case you decide to look for me, forget reason, look for madness. This is my journey. I'm going to share one more, Madhya.
While you start the poem that you want to,
Yeah.
there's another haiku appearing in my coming book, and that's for you again. I guess I've written a lot for you. Those stars are faulty. Those stars are faulty, broken and shapeless sots. Broken and shapeless sots on the blackboard drawn with chalks. On the blackboard drawn with chalks.
Time would not undo me. When glances are shot in fear of being lost and reflection thin, slipping through the crevices of time, I have folded and tugged your last lingering gaze in an amulet. I wear it in place of my eyes. I have breathed sweet words of reverence on my open and folded palms. And from the cusp of my hands, dreams took wings, and yearning turned into stream. My love, it took an eternity for me to finish you. My love, it took an eternity for you to finish me. Mere time would not undo me. You don't know when ishq-e-hakiki happens. You don't know when you fall in love with God, the light, when you become one, when your words, when your thoughts, when your whole being turns into a prayer. My quest was never to be a healer. I never ever wanted to become one. But it was when I became a prayer myself, that is somewhere. Because women were seeking me out always. It was only that I realized that what he has done to me, what he made me through my own pain, is a blessing. And if I have turned into a prayer, it is for those who need healing. So yeah.
So we were talking about Ishq Hakiki, and in the world where everybody is abandoning everyone, उसने ये क्यों कह दिया? अब तो बल्कि मैंने कहीं पढ़ा Facebook कि अगर if you do not have the same political inclinations, one should not get married. And I was like, really? Surprised. Literally. And that was like, you know who the youth is. So I'm not here to mock anyone, but I mean, I was really surprised that even if you do not agree on the same political party, one should not get married. Well, इतनी similarities होंगी तो क्या कटेगी कैसे? मैं तो ये सोच रही थी. Okay, so there's this poem that I wrote for Nowruz 2026. Here it goes. The pulse of Nowruz. The pulse of Nowruz falters in the veins, caught in the shadow of these crimson rains. Where the ink should be a pause, X, W, X. A missing beat, the sabze welts. The apple, bruised and soft. The hyacinths, bent at the neck. The hyacinths, bent at the neck. Everything is. Is. What is the word for a schoolhouse that has become a burial ground? What is a word for a schoolhouse that has become a burial ground? I try to measure the distance between the Noro's fire and the cooling blood on the stones. The math fails. The math fails. X is equals to the emptiness of a desk. Y is equal to the silence of a bell that will not ring again. Y is equal to the silence of a bell that will not ring again. The rhythm is wrong, too jagged, too much grit in the throat. I reach for a metaphor. I reach for a metaphor. Something about spring, something about light. I reach for a metaphor. Something about spring. And it snaps. It snaps in my fingers. A poem is not a song. It's a list of things that are gone. A poem is not a song. It's a list of things that are gone. A backpack, a name, and fill in the blanks. The dash, dash, dash. Thank you. We were talking about Ishq Hakiki. Kaaba. I have lost the direction. I have lost the direction. My heart follows itself. I have lost the direction. My heart follows itself. My head has no say. My head has no say. The blood rushes to find its own way. I am tied up by my hair. I'm tied up by my hair. Thoughts are wildfire, burning desires, oblivious no more. Burning desires, oblivious no more. I am quite aware. The Kaaba would be your abode, sitting at the feet of my beloved, where the gravity pulls the soul and the body becomes weightless. Where the gravity pulls the soul and the body becomes weightless. Thank you. While we were talking about the journey of writing, I'm also amazed at what I've written. Actually, once it was published, I never went through it because it was more than enough editing and re-editing and looking for the missing full stops and the capital letters which were not there. So, well, there's one that that's me, I guess. My soul needs rain. My soul needs rain. Kisses washing sultry brown skin. Let's bury the hatchet. I can't survive this constant heartache. My energy drains. This battle with grief, doubt, desolation, fear of loss, anxiety, and pain. This continuous war raging within and without. A glimmer of hope here. Despondent gray cloud hovering, darkening my grounds. Life has left me. Dumbfounded, I drown. Give me mouth-to-mouth recitation, pumping out the choke, drenching my soul with wisdom and knowledge as whole. I choose to love once again. I choose to love once again. Perhaps as a survival game. Are you listening, cry decor, up there? Or are you here by my side, somewhere? Show me that you care. I don't want sympathy. I want honesty. Hope in despair, bravery in these times of such volatile hostility. Done and dusted with life. Ethos of Numa, urging me to fly, where clouds soak the spirits and Minerva, cognizance spray, wetting my being, love being keen, wrapping me like its skin. Would you do me the honors? Would you do me the honors? I'm star-struck, you know. I can't help loving, swimming to far-off shores when I die. Bury me. Bury me, but leave my hands outside my grave so that when it rains, bury me, but leave my hands outside my grave so that when it rains, I could feel the droplets moistening my soul. I could feel the droplets moistening my soul. Thank you.
Being a poet and writing for so many things, and you write about political things as well. So I don't write about the political scenario of Pakistan, but I have written something about Palestine, and there is something about Karachi. So Mazarat ke saath for the people who are from Karachi, that will be, but first I'm going to share something about Palestine. The land of Palestine. Some say it does not exist. For most of us, Palestine is not a reality, but a story, where myths and legends are born in dust and blood. It is an old festering wound which out of annoyance hath stopped smelling. Why smell of death? Why? And fetuses can be seen clutching stones. When life, first breath, is a clenched fist. What is the symbol of resistance for the longest time? Standing with nothing in front of the tanks, where the tanks splatter you to the ground, or throwing stones, where life, first breath, is a clenched fist. And rage a genetic disposition, here mortal flesh wrestles metal. And tears have salted food for generations. For 100 years or more, it could be eternity. People of this story-like land stopped sleeping. Their sleep is a glimpse on the face of a dead day. Yes, here days have died and gone to heaven. Dawn bloody with shame, and night is raped with wails of pain. My friend, Palestine for most of us is a myth and not a reality. This one is for Karachi. Karachi or not to be Karachi, where life is a stray dog, flea-ridden, shoved by a stick, a stone, or an angry glance. Sorry, bhai, from Karachi walas. Where life is a stray dog, flea-ridden, shoved by a stick, a stone, or an angry glance, and crows become the symbol of national unity. Ever scavenging, where mouths are full of callous expressions, chewed out, spat out like beetle nut, where the pain is not felt, but cliched for consumption. Where pain is not felt, but cliched for consumption. So no ulcer, but intermittent diarrhea. And death rides a coin, head for head, tail a gunny bag. and children die of old age in their mother's womb, where fear rides the waves, crushing spirits, making them succumb to their nightmares. It is a land beyond death, and angels of life and death fight a losing battle, hope a lost cause. Sorry, from Karachi.
I'll take you to the other side of Karachi.
Sure.
And this feelinglessness is created. This is the only resilience and the way we can keep on going in Karachi. This is the resistance of the Karachiites. And what else? What else could you do in such situations? Anyhow, I would like to end my session, my part of the talk, with another haiku. Words grieve when they are left without feelings. Words grieve when they are left without feelings. Love should not be abandoned. Love should not be abandoned. Thank you. And I'm here to sign the copies if you want of Badu. Thank you so very much.
I'm just going to share one last poem. And there was a very defining moment in my life when my daughter was born. So this book is dedicated to my daughter. This one is to my son. And the first one, of course, my husband. Yeah. This is how the stars are born. The sweet meat of happiness, chocolate of a smile, and fireflies in her eyes. Giggles caught like genie, romp around in the cup of her hand, and the clouds of contentment pillows her head. No wonder, where my princess walks, stars are born.
Beautiful. I think we just love what we create. We just can't go do away with what we create. So in my book also you'll find lots of poems for our children. And when you said, of course, my husband, so I just looked at you.
No.
Yeah, I know. Sadaf, I'm just making,
the first book is all about him.
Okay. Yes. Excellent, Ja. So my next book is not going to be dedicated to anyone. It's going to be my work, me, myself, and that's it. All right. Any questions, please, from the audience? Any questions? वो मुझसे मोहब्बत क्यों नहीं करती, मैं उससे मोहब्बत करता हूँ, वो मेरे पास नहीं आती, ब्रेकअप हो गया, anything?
शुक्रिया। हाँ जी, अच्छी इंटरेस्टिंग बातें की आपने, लेकिन एंड पे आपने अपनी थीसिस की बिल्कुल नफ़ी कर दी। आपने कहा लव है, हर तरफ लव है और हर एक के साथ है और रिलेशनशिप और सबका, और एंड पे आपने कहा नो इट विल बी only me and not for anybody and it is my word, my work and it is me।
हाँ, तो मैं अपने आप से भी तो प्यार करती हूँ ना।
इसे हाँ बिल्कुल करते हैं, लेकिन जो आप डिफाइन कर रही थी वो था कि लव मैनिफेस्ट करती है कायनात की हर चीज में और दैट इज द बेस्ट यू कैन गिव टू एनीबडी एल्स। तो जो मैडम सदर बैठी हैं, इस पर्सपेक्टिव में देखें, वो आउट ऑफ लव ऑफ एनीबडी हु इज क्लोज टू हर उन्होंने वो डेडिकेट किया, और आप कह रही हैं कि नहीं, मैंने
अपनी पहली किताब अपने पूरे खानदान को डेडिकेट कर दी
नहीं, लेकिन आखिरी बात
कोई बचा नहीं,
जो अभी आखिरी बात आपने की है वो लव की जो डेफिनेशन आपने हमें दी है ना, उसकी
मुझे अपने आप से प्यार नहीं होगा तो मैं किसी और को कैसे प्यार दूंगी?
चले
आप मुझे ये जरा बताइएगा।
हाँ जी।
और मेरी पहली किताब मेरे शौहर, मेरे बच्चे, मेरी माँ, मेरे अब्बू, और इस किताब में एक नज़र मेरे बाप, एक नज़र मेरे ससुर, एक नज़र मेरे बच्चों, बहुत सारी नज़में मेरे शौहर, एक मिनट सर, आपकी नहीं प्लीज सर, अब आप सुन लीजिए, मोहब्बत की सिर्फ एक शेप और एक शेड नहीं होता, और उसको बूजे में बंद करना भी नहीं चाहिए, और हमेशा मोहब्बत आपको ब्रॉडर एस्पेक्ट में, ब्रॉडर हॉराइजन में देखना समझाती है. मेरी पोइट्री से मैडम सदफ की पोइट्री का कोई कंपैरिजन नहीं है. वी आर हियर टू recite and make you understand what our books, what our work, and what life was about for us.
जी जी, पोजीशन काफ़ी वाज़ेह हो गई है, कोई इशू नहीं इसके साथ. लेकिन जो मैं पॉइंट करना चाहता था कि लव बाय डेफिनेशन एंडलेस है और ओमनी डायरेक्शनल है. आप यानी लव को कन्फाइन तो किसी सूरत में कर ही नहीं सकते. और इफ़ आई कन्फाइन लव फॉर माई सेल्फ, माई वर्क, माई ओनली फॉर मी, यही खुद गर्जी है. शुक्रिया.
हाय मैम. शायद अदब का दोनों से मैम, शायद अदब का स्टूडेंट मैं नहीं हूँ तो इस वजह से मुझे ज़्यादा ये सेशन समझ में नहीं आया, क्योंकि मुझे मुकालमे से ज़्यादा मुशायरा लगा. तो आई वुड लाइक कि इसके डिस्क्रिप्शन में था कि हम मुकालमा करेंगे. इश्क हकीकी की बात हुई तो उस पर भी पोएम सुनाई गई. ये कहाँ से शुरू हुआ, जन्म कहाँ से लिया, हकीकी क्या है, मजाजी क्या है, इन चीज़ों को हम डिफ़ाइन क्यों कर रहे हैं, इन चीज़ों को हम बांट क्यों रहे हैं. दूसरा सवाल मेरा ये है कि जो पोइट्स होते हैं जैसे कि वो सैड पोइट्री लिखते हैं तो बिकॉज दे आर सफ़र्ड, वो इसलिए लिखते हैं, या डिड लिविंग थ्रू सफरिंग मेक सैडनेस द लैंग्वेज दे न्यू बेस्ट. तो मतलब मुझे इन चीज़ों की समझ नहीं आती. तो अगर इस मुशायरे को हम थोड़ा सा मुकालमे में बदल दें तो ज़्यादा बेहतर रहेगा.
अच्छा बेटा, ऐसा है कि देखो, ज़िंदगी है ना, ज़िंदगी को बरतना है, एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं, उसमें खुशी भी है, उसमें गम भी है. हर किसी की अपनी एक जर्नी है ना. मैंने अपनी जर्नी की बात की कि जब आप गिरते हैं, कुछ लोग, अब मैं तुम्हें एक एग्जांपल देती हूँ और फिर उसके बाद मैं इस पे आऊँगी कि अगर आप सड़क पे जा रहे हैं और आप किसी पत्थर से टकरा के गिर जाते हैं तो आपका इंस्टिंक्चुअल रिस्पॉन्स क्या होता है कि आप उस पत्थर को लात मारना चाहते हैं, और मारते भी हैं और एक गाली भी देते हैं, है कि नहीं है. कुछ लोग ये होते हैं कि जब वो गिरते हैं और जब वो उठते हैं तो वो ये सोचते हैं कि मैं क्यों गिरा, मुझे जो चोट लगी ये किस वजह से मुझे लगाई गई, और उस चीज़ को वो अपने अंदर कैरी करते हैं, उस हर्ट को. मैंने एक बहुत वैसी क्रूड सी तुम्हें एग्जांपल दी है, तो जो तुमने बात की सफरिंग के हवाले से, अगर हम अपनी ज़िंदगी के बिटर एक्सपीरियंसेस को, जो मैंने जुमला कहा था ना ओपरा विनफ्री का कि टर्निंग योर वूंड्स इनटू विजडम, ठीक है. सो अगर आप अपने सारे दर्द को समेट के किसी पॉजिटिव चीज़ में ढाल लेते हो तो वो, मैं समझती हूँ कि वो जो आप पैदा हुए और जो आपका मकसद था और जो आपने ज़िंदगी गुजारी, आप महान हो गए उसकी वजह से. सो अगेन ये हर किसी की अपनी चॉइस है. करीब मैंने आंसर किया है या तुमने कुछ और भी पूछने की कोशिश की थी?
मैं सिर्फ इनके फर्स्ट पार्ट का जवाब दूँ, मकालमे वाली बात का. आप लिटरेचर के स्टूडेंट बेशक ना हो, ख़बरें पढ़ते हैं ना, वो मकालमा होता है ना. कैसे मकालमा होता है? वो आपको बताता है कि आज के दिन या कल के दिन क्या क्या हुआ. सही. सो मुशायरा हुआ, नॉवेल हुआ, नज़म हुई, अफसाना कहा गया, ये सब मुकालमे की एक शक्ल है. ये आपको बताते हैं कि ज़िंदगी में कौन कौन से मोड़ आए, कहाँ कहाँ से कौन कौन गुज़रा. इट इज़ काइंड ऑफ शेयरिंग. शायद आपके सामने बैठ के ना, कितने लोगों को हैंग का द वेजिटेरियन आप पढ़ लीजिए, आप गार्सिया को पढ़ लीजिए, आप चीगवेरा को पढ़ लीजिए, जो अदब नहीं भी लिखते, या जो पॉलिटिशियंस हैं आप उनकी लाइफ्स को पढ़ लीजिए. वो क्यों लिख रहे हैं? वो मकालमा कर रहे हैं आपसे. वो बता रहे हैं कि उनके लिए ज़िंदगी कैसी थी, वो अपनी कहानी सुना रहे हैं. अब उस कहानी में से आप क्या अख़ज़ करते हैं ये आपके ऊपर है. ये पेंटिंग भी एक मुकालमा है. आप इसको देखिए, आप कौन सा रंग, कौन सा शेप, आपको कोई हो सकता है इसमें ज़हनी तनाज़ुर लगे, इसमें आपको कोई एवोल्यूशन नज़र आए, आपसे कोई ना कोई एक चीज़ किसी भी आर्ट फॉर्म में, डांस की फॉर्म हो गई, म्यूज़िक की फॉर्म हो गई, वो हमेशा एक मकालमा ही में रहती है. वो जो डांसर जो खुद महसूस कर रहा होता है वो अपने ऑडियंस के साथ शेयर करता है. म्यूज़िक एक अलग तरह का मकालमा है जो रब हमारे साथ कर रहा होता है. ये जो लुप-डुप है, ये जो दिल की धड़कन है, ये हर दफ़ा एक सी तो नहीं होती. कभी तेज़, कभी कम, कभी डूबी हुई, ये सब मकालमे हैं और इनको समझना, बरतना वो हम पर मुनहसर है कि हम उसको किस तरह लेके चलते हैं. जी, आपका कोई सवाल?
Initially, I would first express my pleasure to listen to poems recited by Madiha and Sadaf, and I'm exceedingly happy that Pakistani English poetry has come of age, and it is only due to the women poets like you. And there is another thing, that there is modern sensibility, the very variety of themes which you have read poems about. The question which I want to ask from you, as Sadaf has said that she is inspired or she is affected by Sylvia Plath or Sara Shagufta. So do you have any such kind of inspiration, or in your creative journey, any Urdu or English poet or international poet that impress you, that shapes your creative self? So that
जी,
is the
कुरतुल हैन हैदर, मैं ज़रूर उनका नाम लेना चाहूँगी. मैं अदा जाफ़री का नाम लेना चाहूँगी. और फैज़ को मैंने बहुत पढ़ा. जब मैं 15 साल की थी तो फैज़ का नुस्खा हाया वफ़ा मेरे तकिए के साथ मेरे साथ सोता था और उनसे बहुत मुलाकातें रहीं. मैं गुलजी से बहुत मुतासर रही, मैं साद कैन से बहुत मुतासर रही. मेरी किताब में जो स्केचेस हैं वो मेरे ख़ुद ही मैंने किए हैं और वो भी एक तरह का मकालमा है. उस पोएम को शायद समझने में आपके लिए आसानी हो. इंटरनेशनल राइटर्स में आ जाइए तो आज की इज़ अ मेटाफोरिकल नॉवल, सो वन मस्ट रीड दैट. फिर ऑफ कोर्स शेक्सपियर को कोई नहीं भूल सकता, कहीं पे भी नहीं भूल सकता, क्योंकि उसने इतना कुछ अंग्रेज़ी ज़बान को दिया और लिटरेचर को दिया. एंड अगेन मज़े की बात ये थी कि वो ख़ुद पढ़ा लिखा नहीं था. ही वॉज नॉट ए कॉलेज स्टूडेंट. जिसको मार्लो जो है वो तंज भी किया करते थे, ठीक है ना, कि ये क्या लिखेंगे. और उसके बाद आप आ जाइए तो आज कहाँ शबनम विरमानी है. उन्होंने अपना स्पिरिचुअल जर्नी, उन्होंने सूफ़ी ट्रेडिशन को एक्सप्लोर किया है. आई सॉ माई सेल्फ फ्रॉम द रन ऑफ कच्छ, पूरा सूफ़ी ट्रेडिशन फ्रॉम बुल्ले शाह टू Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai, and their verses and how empowered women were in those verses. अभी रिसेंट में तो अगर मैं कहूँ तो मैं चाहूँगी कि मैं उसको बार बार पढ़ूँ. बहुत कम ऐसी लिखारी होते हैं जिनको दिल करता है कि आप दोबारा पढ़ें. शी इज़ वेरी फ्लुएंट, शी इज़ फ्रॉम अक्रॉस द बॉर्डर, और 10 साल की रिसर्च है जो उन्होंने एक किताब में कलम बंद की है. और उसके बाद ऑफ कोर्स उरहान पामुक, आई really appreciate the way he takes over the story and the way he writes a story, and within a story there are so many other stories running with different themes, and you are unable to catch exactly what was the theme because there are many. And then of course Elif Shafak and Arundhati Rai. Why Elif and Arundhati is because they're very honest with their work. They're too honest, and this is what I see: honesty. Enough with diplomacy, enough with butter coating everything, and enough with making the language flowery. You know, you should get to the real essence of life. And in the latest novel, There Are Rivers in the Sky, Elif talks about the climate change. She talks about 3 parallel stories which revolve around the water. And आदमी क्या है, पानी और डस्ट ही तो है. तो पढ़िए, पढ़ने से जहन खुलता है, पढ़ने से आइडियाज़ मिलते हैं, पढ़ने में मकालमा होता है.
अच्छा, पाकिस्तानी जो इंग्लिश पोइट्री उसकी ट्रेडिशन है, नाउ इट इज़ 5th जनरेशन ऑफ पाकिस्तानी इंग्लिश पोइट्स. तो उनमें कोई आप समझती हैं कि देयर इज़ अ पोइट हु इज़ ऑफ इंटरनेशनल स्टेचर व्हिच वी कैन प्रेजेंट बिफोर द वर्ल्ड?
माकी साहिबा थी.
माकी कुरैशी.
जी, माकी कुरैशी. उनको काफ़ी हम अब उतना नाम उनका नहीं सुनते, और एक एड्रियन हारून। मुझे ये 2 अशख़ास वाकई में लगते हैं अंग्रेज़ी में।
What are your views about Tawfiq Rafat?
अच्छा लिखते हैं, बहुत अच्छा लिखा उन्होंने और अच्छा काम है उनका। माँ की फिर भी मेरे लिए मैं समझ मेरे लिए
More
मेरे
preferable.
हिसाब से मोर या थैंक यू।
Acha, Sadaf, I would like to ask you, you have read poems about resistance, and do you think that one should write on political themes? Doesn't reduce the poetry to the slogan, mere sloganism? Should it be very loud and clear, political poems, as Jalib wrote? So what are your views about it?
Well, I don't, there's like, it was not even a political commentary when it comes to Palestine. It was something which was, going on and feeling and all that, of course, because my concern and what I come from a place of feeling. So what I feel is what I write. I can't be anything else. Activism, if you're talking about activism, yes, that is something which is very much there. And if you are, it's not for everyone. It's frankly not for everyone. I don't see Madhya writing that kind of activism. If you have, then good for you. But, because her poems are in that way, they're beautiful and very, my poetry is always shaped by my activism of the work I have done. There is a poem in one of my collections. There's a 4th one which has been compiled, and I said to my children that probably you'll publish it when I'm there no more. So it is Once Upon a Blue Sky. That's my 4th one. There is a poem in that one, and it's about an interview I conducted of a woman in jail. This was early 90s. And the jails were filled with women for trafficking heroin and Hadood, because of the Hadood laws and all that. And this 80-year-old woman was there. And she said to me कि बेटा मुझे जब ये torture करते हैं तो they put red chili inside of me. So there's a whole poem about it. For me, when I write about all these issues, again, they come from a place of feeling. I experience them at that level. And this is where I write. I don't want to inspire anyone to activism. If you read my poems, there is no call for pick up arms or become an activist. It's just
inciting hatred or things like that.
It is basically, I feel it is basically, I've seen people, there was a girl, I tell you, and that is probably the essence of my journey as a poet. I met this beautiful girl, and she's very famous in Islamabad. She has done wonders, mashallah, mashallah. If I say her name, you'll probably know her. She came to my house, and there was this, my first book was, and the picture in that book was there in one of the frames. And she said to me, Auntie, who is this lady? So I said, Beta, this is me. So she said, this picture is there in a book. So have you written a book? Maine kaha, yes, beta, my first book, Like a Sleepwalker. And she said to me, Auntie, my teenage years were spent with that book. It used to be on my bedside. I would read and I would cry. I would pick it up and I would find myself. I think for a writer, this is the biggest achievement. So if the people, when they read my poems, if they find a mirror, if it gives them a catharsis, if it eases their pain, I think what I have done is मैं सफल हो गई. Yeah.
And then on the same note, Khurram Saab, and thank you for being here. Khurram Siddiqui Saab is himself a bilingual poet, writing in English and in Urdu, and running Pakistan English Society. Welcome, sir. We cannot compartmentalize, writing or music or anything. Whatever comes with the flow, with the feeling, with the depth, and with the rhythm, it's poetry. So me calling it political or activism or this, it just depends on the reader, what they what is their take from it. Yes. Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
I have got an epic poem on Palestine, and people say, and it came to me just a year before it all started. So I think कुछ थोड़ी सी वो वहदानियत भी होती है.
This one was written quite some time back about the Palestine, and I lived in Syria. I lived in Syria for 5 years. There's a poem about Syria here as well. So I've seen a lot of stuff living there, and because of it, I guess. But there are very few poems like that. It's mostly about women and their suffering and my suffering.
मेरा आप दोनों इंटेलेक्चुअल्स मैडम से एक रिक्वेस्ट नहीं कहना चाहूँगा, बल्कि ये कहूँगा कि चाहे वो इश्क मजाजी हो या इश्क हकीकी हो, दोनों की एक्सप्रेशन जो है वो उर्दू ज़बान में ज़्यादा वास्ट है. जबकि आप लोग अंग्रेज़ी ज़बान में कहते हैं तो क्या आपको अल्फाज की इसमें कोई कमाईगी महसूस होती है? क्योंकि मेरे नाना जो हैं हज़रत जोश मलिया आबादी, वो मुझसे कहा करते थे कि जो एक्सप्रेशन है वो अपनी ज़बान में ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव होता है.
मैं बहुत मुझे अरबी नहीं आती, मेरे ससुर को अरबी आती थी, और वो मुझे बताते थे कि बेटा अरबी ज़बान में हर चीज़ के लिए बेतहाशा लफ्ज़ हैं, बहुत एक्सप्रेसिव, बहुत खूबसूरत ज़बान है वो. उर्दू बीइंग अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ सो मैनी लैंग्वेजेस, अगेन उसके अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा वुसअत है. आई बिलीव दैट द language of your expression should be the language that speaks inside of you. For the longest time, I belong to a Urdu speaking family, और मेरे family के अंदर बहुत मशहूर गुज़रे हैं लोग, और मैं क्या उनके सामने मेरी हैसियत तो कुछ भी नहीं है, नुसरत ज़ैदी और मुस्तफ़ा ज़ैदी. लेकिन मुझे ये लगता है कि जिस ज़बान में आप सोचते हैं, दुआ करते हैं, अंदर का डायलॉग चलता है, वो आपकी ज़बान होती है. सो समहाउ मेरे लिए बचपन से अगर कोई ज़बान थी तो वो अंग्रेज़ी थी. पता नहीं क्यों थी, तो मुझे नहीं समझ आया. कोई इतना अंग्रेज़ी हमारे घर में बोली नहीं जाती थी, शायद पढ़ने की वजह से था, क्या था. लेकिन जो मेरी दुआ की ज़बान रही, अभी भी जो मेरी मेडिटेशन की ज़बान है, या जो भी जिसमें मेरे अंदर डायलॉग होता है, वो सब का सब जो सोलोलिक्यू जो होता है अंदर की जो बात में होती है, वो सब अंग्रेज़ी के अंदर है. तो आई थिंक जब मैं अंग्रेज़ी में लिखती हूँ तो मुझे लफ्ज़ मिल जाते हैं. उर्दू में मैं अगर कभी मुझे इंटरव्यू भी देना पड़े तो मैं आ कर रही होती हूँ. अंग्रेज़ी में सब चल रहा होता है, तो शायद.
सदफ ने बहुत मुफस्सल जवाब दे दिया, मेरी कुछ कहने की गुंजाइश नहीं.
हाँ जी, आप कुछ कहना चाह रहे थे. अच्छा,
ये काम कर रहे हैं माइक? ओके. अच्छा सदफ, आपसे मेरा क्वेश्चन है, आपने मेंशन किया कि आपकी यू आर अ हीलर, ठीक है, you healed yourself and then you became a healer, and before becoming a healer you started as writing as a poet. तो वो आप अपनी पुराना बता रही हैं कि जब आपकी spiritual awakening हुई, you became different, you were a totally different person. तो अभी right now जैसे आपने 2017 का mention किया, that was the time when you were a different person, transformation आपकी हो गई थी, और आपकी बुक्स उससे पहले की हैं जो भी आप पढ़ के हमें सब कुछ सुना रही हैं. उसके बाद से जब स्पिरिचुअल अवेकनिंग के बाद डिड यू फील लाइक राइटिंग समथिंग? फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे आप अपना जितना कुछ भी पढ़ के सुना रही हैं, एक तो मुझे उसमें कॉन्फ्लिक्ट थोड़ा सा नज़र आया, कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन, नॉट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन जब आपकी स्पिरिचुअल अवेकनिंग हो जाती है और आपने शैडो वर्क की भी बात की, आपने अपनी डीमंस के साथ बैठने की बात की, आपने अपने इनर चाइल्ड की बात की। अब ये सारा कुछ जब आप कर चुकते हैं तो एक वो चीज आपका एक यू बिकम अ टोटली डिफरेंट पर्सन। तो आप उस वक्त उसके बाद फिर आप एक्टिविस्ट नहीं रहते। आप अगर उससे पहले फेमिनिस्ट थे तो आप फेमिनिस्ट नहीं रहते। आप फिर सिर्फ औरतों के लिए नहीं लिखते, आप जेंडर को माइनस कर देते हैं। यू बिकम अवेयर ऑफ द फैक्ट कि सोल का कोई जेंडर नहीं है। How come you are still repeating those poetry, those lines, those पैलेस्टाइन के ऊपर जिस तरह आप बात कर रही हैं, वो टिपिकल एक राइटर और एक पोइट, एक थर्ड डायमेंशनल राइटर और पोइट का मौकफ है। वो एक हायर डायमेंशनल हीलर के पर्सपेक्टिव से आप बात नहीं कर रही। एक हीलर जो है उसको वो इनसाइट्स भी देगा अपनी। फिर आप जो औरतों की बात कर रही हैं, आपने हमें इतनी सैड स्टोरी सुनाई जो कि फैक्ट है। वो आपने वो उसकी बेटियां रेप हो गई हैं, वो सब कुछ सुना रही हैं आप, ठीक है, दैट दोज आर द फैक्ट्स। हमारे इर्द गिर्द हो रही हैं ये चीजें, बट एज अ हीलर you didn't create anything where you felt like giving a message of hope.
My first book I started writing in 90s, and it was published in 2003. My second book was published in 2012, and from 2003 and 2012 I was writing, and all that, and I was also working, and then my spiritual awakening happened 2012, 11-12 के उस पे. And rather it was a journey of self-healing first. And the poems I read, some of them, in the third, where I'm talking about, the race and, finding myself and all that, they carry that. As far as, and you're completely right when you say, when you come at this level, there is no gender. We deal with energies. We do it. My somehow calling, you call it, or whatever. Even when I opened myself that I'm not close to healing men, if they approach me, I get, even then, it's not my intention as such, even then I get 90% women. Yeah. So 2017 this book was published. 2018 my next collection, the Once Upon a Blue Sky, was compiled, and it is there. And that is what I'm saying. I stopped writing. I have not published anything after that. There's a novel, there is a collection of short stories, and there is a whole collection of poems there. And I'm not publishing. Because the words are not coming to me now like this. The words, they come to me are very different. And there is no one here who has experienced the meditations I do. I do meditations. And these are divinely guided meditations. Madhya experienced one once. So when I am doing those meditations, I am inside that person. And I am made to see what that person is carrying, and I say those things. So my journey, that is the thing. When we were talking about this program, and as I said, my books were lying somewhere. And I said to my husband कि please मुझे निकाल दें, वो कहाँ पड़ी हुई है, मैंने तो इतने अरसे से देखी भी नहीं. मेरे introduction में still it is written that I am a poet because my books are there in the anthology जो पाकिस्तान की है. उसके अंदर अल्लाह का लाख लाख शुक्र है जो मैंने लिखा उसने कबूल किया और उस सेंस में हुआ. लेकिन somehow ये वाले जो लफ्ज़ हैं और ये जो सारा सब कुछ है, it's not there. Yes, healing for women is very much there. And they come with all this जो उसके अंदर है. लेकिन जो मेरी अब जो मेरा वो है, वो ये नहीं है. It is not.
Can we just take the last question and then
ये साहब आप कुछ कहें? Last उनका
Thank you. I'm sorry to begin with, I came late. So I do not know कि शुरू में क्या हुआ, but listening to the commentaries of the people, I understood कि a lot of poetry has been going on. The topic was interesting and thankful to the invitee के उन्होंने जब बताया so that because of this word, I presume it is, what is love? Is that the topic? Sort of. Yeah? Kind of. Yeah, yeah. On a lighter note, and not that lighter also, the reality is also what we have gone through our lives. ये commentaries सुन के I will like to pass my own comments on those commentaries. Nothing on questions on YouTube. जहाँ तक poetry की बात है, तो yes, we do say कि it's a gift of God, which God gives to few people. And तो वो जिस किसी के पास है और जिनके पास नहीं है, you can't learn or practice and become a poet. लेकिन हमारे अपने in our times, particularly in school and college days, anybody who started taking interest in poetry and वो poems लिखने शुरू कर देता था, शायरी, तो हम कहते थे कि आशिक हो गया या कहीं इश्क हो गया इसको, तो वहाँ से ये स्टार्ट होता था. Again, this is what I'm saying, कि it is love which makes you, what I'm trying to say, कि it is love which makes you a poet. So as far as this one about the book, कि आपने किसी को dedicate नहीं किया, I saw it the other way around. I saw it in a way कि you dedicated to all the humans and not to one human. जहाँ तक आपने उसका जवाब खुद ही का दिया, yes, a person who does not love himself, he doesn't know love then. पाकिस्तान में यहाँ हर चीज़ मज़हब और खुदा को हम उसको हर बात पे लाते हैं, पैसे कमाने के लिए भी लाते हैं, पॉलिटिक्स खेलने के लिए भी लाते हैं, हर चीज़ में we have brought him. And उसकी मैं बात कर लूँगा कि जहाँ तक अल्लाह का अपना ताल्लुक़ है, he has said that he has 99 names. And out of those 99 names, except 3, all the other names are names of love. ये और बात है कि हमने उन 96 नामों को छोड़कर हमने उसके वो 3 नाम पे ही जोर दिया है, जब्बार, कहार और third one I'm forgetting. लेकिन वो जो जब्बार और कहार भी है, I see. Sorry. Those 3-4 names जिसमें उन्होंने कहा है कि मैं सख्त हूँ, उसको भी in a broader sense I see it as love, because when you love your child, only then you are strict with him sometimes. If you do not love your child, you are never then strict also. So He loves us, that's why he, instead of leaving us, he could have said, कि मैं तुम्हें, I leave, I will just leave you. He doesn't say that. He punishes us. So you only punish people whom you love, so that the child comes on the right path. Anyway, sorry.
जो आपने बात की ना कि वो आप डिटैच नहीं होता, ये कहाँ है?
जी जी जी,
कहाँ है?
ओके, अच्छा जी। जहाँ तक आपने, सॉरी, ऑलराइट, थैंक्स फॉर द इन्फो। जहाँ तक आपने ये योर पोइट्री ऑन थिंग्स लाइक ऑन events or places like Palestine, we did not see it as anything to do with politics. It is politics for the new world people. We are from the old world people. Old world, whether it is old Europe or old Asia, particularly then we the Eastern, what is happening in Palestine is not politics. वो तो कुछ और ही ड्रामा है। जिस तरह आपने अपनी फीलिंग्स भी बताया, तो उसका सियासत के साथ कुछ ताल्लुक भी नहीं है। मेरे ख्याल में वन ऑफ द पर्सन वेरी राइटली सेड कि एनी सच इवेंट्स दैट यू सी वेयर योर फीलिंग्स, that is your attachment to the human being or to the world, and of course you should be writing on those things. Nobody sees them as this thing, and as I said, new world wale see it as politics. We do not. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think this session has come to a close. Thank you so very much. Let's get together for a group photo. Can we do that? All right, let's do that.